Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This evening's reciters are Harsha Mataji, who will be reciting in Sanskrit, and dear Sahiti, who will be reciting in English. They will be reciting from Canto 3, Chapter 26, verses 16 to 29. Harsha Mataji, whenever you are ready, please start with the 3 invocations.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 16. Prabhavam Purusham Prahu Kalameke Yato Vayam Ahankara Vimuttasya Kartu Prakritim Iyushaha.
The influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in the time factor, which causes fear of death.
Can you scroll down, Mataji? Can you please scroll down, Mataji?
Due to the false ego of the deluded soul who has contacted material nature.
Text 17. Prakrita Guna Samyasya Nirvisheshya Manavi Chestayata sa Bhagavan Kala iti upalakshitaha.
My dear mother, O daughter of Syambhavamanu, the time factor, as I have explained, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom the creation begins, as a result of the agitation of the neutral unmanifested nature.
Text 18. Antapurusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Isha Satwanam Bhagavanatma Mayaya.
By exhibiting his potencies, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements, keeping himself within as the Supersoul and without this time.
Text 19. Devatshu Vitadharminyam Swasyam Yuno Parapuman Adatta Vedyam Sasutta Mahatattvam Hiranyamayam.
After the Supreme Personality of Godhead impregnates the material nature with his eternal potency, material nature delivers the sum total of the cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in material nature when she is agitated by the destinations of the conditioned souls.
Text 20. If you would scroll down, please. Vishwamatma gatam vyayam kutatsto jagadankurah swatejasa pibhattivram atma prashvapanam tamaha.
Thus, after manifesting variegated the fulgent Mahatattva, which contains all the universes within itself, which is the root of all cosmic manifestations, and which is not destroyed at the time of annihilation, so is the darkness that covered their effulgence at the time of dissolution.
Text 21. Yat tat sattva gunam svacham santam bhagavate padam yat ahur vasudevkyayam chittam tan mahat atmakam.
The mode of goodness, which is the clear, sober status of understanding the personality of Godhead, and which is generally called Vasudeva, or consciousness, becomes manifest in the Mahatattva.
Text 22. Swachatvam avikari tvam santatvam iti chetasa pritepi lakshanam proktam yathapam prakriti para.
After the manifestation of the Mahatattva, these features appear simultaneously as water in its natural state before coming in contact with earth is clear, sweet, and unruffled. So the characteristic traits of pure consciousness are completely serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction.
Text 23 to 24. Mahatatvat vikurvanat bhagavat virya sambhavat kriya shaktir ahankaras trivita samapadyata vaikarikashtechascha tamasascha yato bhava manasasendriyanam cha bhutana mahatam api.
The material ego springs up from the Mahatattva, which evolved from the Lord's own energy. The material ego is endowed predominantly with active power of three kinds: good, passionate, and ignorant. It is from these three types of material ego that the mind, the senses of perception, the organs of action, and the gross elements evolve.
Text 26. Sorry, text 25. Sahasrasira samshaksad yam anantam prachakshate tankarsankhayam purusham putendriya manomayam.
The threefold ahankara, the source of the gross elements, the senses and the mind, is identical with them because it is their cause. It is known by the name of Sankarsana, who is directly Lord Ananta, with 1,000 heads.
Text 26. Katatvam karanatvam cha karyatvam cheti lakshanam santakora vimuttatvam iti vashayad aham rata.
This false ego is characterized as a doer, as an instrument, and as an effect. It is further characterized as serene, active, or dull, according to how it is influenced by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Text 27. Vaikarikat vikurvanan manastatvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. You need to scroll up a little bit, Mataji.
From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire.
Text 28. Yat vidurhaya nurudhakyam rishikanam adishwaram tarandri virasyamam samratyam yogi bisanay.
The mind of the living entity is known by the name of Lord Aniruddha, the supreme ruler of the senses. He possesses a bluish-black form resembling a lotus flower growing in the autumn. He is found solely by the yogis.
Text 29. Tejas sattu vikurvanat buddhi tattvam abhutsati Dravyaspurana Vijnanam Indriyanam Anugraha. Hare Krishna.
By transformation of the false ego, in passion intelligence takes birth. O virtuous lady, the functions of intelligence are to help in ascertaining the nature of objects when they come into view, and to help the senses.
Thank you, Harsha Mataji, and thank you, dear Sahiti, for those beautiful recitations. Over to you, Amogha Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much, Mataji, for divine recitations. Okay, thank you so much, dear devotees, for kindly joining this evening to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and giving an opportunity to me to speak few words. Okay, so today, before we enter into Srimad Bhagavatam, we shall offer Mangalacharan prayers. Okay. Om अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांशाम्। हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृणुतां स्वकथाः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्त्वह्य भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृसतां। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। एते चांशकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे। इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्तये नमः। कृष्णे स्वदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह खलु न षडुषामेष पुराणार्को अधुनोदितः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये। अति विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशम् इमं चिन्तिदृढं पाण्डुषु विष्णुषु त्वयि मेनन्यविषयमतिर्मदपति असकृत् रतिमुद्वाहतर्धगङ्गिव बहुदन्वति श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सकरुष्ण शुभावनिधृग्राजन्यवंशदहनानापवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विजसुरात्यहरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गसङ्गस्य मत्यानां किमुतशशः पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गाश्च तदा श्रेयेषु महस्तु यां यामुपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्रसु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे बालोऽपि यदनुग्रहात् तरेनानमतग्राह व्याप्तं सिद्धान्तसागरं श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे यत्पादाश्रीविदितः सङ्गृह्णाति आकर्व्रातात् अज्ञः सिद्धान्तसन्मनीम्। ओम नमो भगवते राधा गोविंदाय नमः। Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for kindly waiting. I shall share my screen. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto and chapter 26, which is the fundamental principles of the nature, where Kapil Bhagavan is describing all about the material analytical study. So what are the 24 elements and then time factor and the characteristics of each and every earth, water, fire, and then tanmatras, how they have been formed. So this chapter describes, it is completely a science. It is a science. So here, when Kapil Bhagavan in the chapter beginning, he is speaking to Devhuti Mata that, oh mother, I am just describing this Sankhya philosophy unto you. If you understand this, then later on, you do not have to come back to this material world, or one can be immediately freed from the material entanglement. Atate sampravakshami tatvanam lakshanam prutak yad viditva vimuccheta purushaha prakrutaihi gunaihi. Purushaha, a living entity, prakrutaihi gunaihi, he will be freed from prakrutaihi gunaihi, the three material modes of nature that entangles the living entity. So here, as soon as he understands that he is not the body, he is the spirit soul, then he will not be entangled by this three material mode. Yad viditva vimuccheta, he will be freed. So in that sequence, Kapil Bhagavan has described in a detailed way, not a detailed way, in a summary way, in a bullet points way. And the living entity is Anadiratma Purusho Nirgunaha Prakrute Paraha Nirantaram Swayam Jyotihi Animanam Akanditam. The living entity, it is always effulgent, always glowing. Swayam Jyotihi, self-effulgent. But it is Animanam. But it is a very small. But Lord is the Vibhu. He is the omnipotent, omnipotent. So he has got all kinds of potencies. He is inconceivable. So in such a way, he was mentioning, and then later on, the living entity, he takes a form into this material world in one of the form, and then experiencing pains and pleasures. By again, material nature takes that living entity through different phases. Gunair vichitraha sujitim sarupaha prakritim prajaha vilokya mumihe sadjaha saiha jnana guhaya. And then mentioning after that, for all this, his pains and pleasures, the living entity is the only reason. He come here and experiences. कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे कारणं प्रकृतिं विदुः भोक्तृत्वे सुखदुःखानां पुरुषः प्रकृते परं. There are two reasons. One is the cause and another one is the effect. The cause is the Purusha, effect is the Prakriti. So we desire it, and material nature, it manifests all our activities from starting from our birth to end of leaving the body. It manifests all the activities based on our desires and based on our previous karma. This is Karya Karana Kartritve Karanam Prakritim Viduhu. Prakriti is the reason for all kinds of Karya Karana Kartritve. But Bhoktritve, in order to experience those pains and pleasures, Bhoktritve Sukha Dukkhanam. Purushaha Prakrite Param. The living entity which is beyond the material nature, he is the reason for all his pains and pleasures. Sukha Dukkhanam. Okay, as soon as Kapil Bhagavan says, then immediately Devahuti Mata, she started inquiring, can you please describe what is the symptoms of a Purusha and what are the symptoms of the Prakriti? Can you please explain? Likewise, whenever she is asking, and later on Kapil Bhagavan, he is going to elaborate in more detail. So starting from today, the verse number 9 and then 10. The question is, Devahuti Mata is asking. देवहूतिर्उवाच प्रकृतेः पुरुषस्यापि लक्षणं पुरुषोत्तमं ब्रूहि कारणयोरस्य सदसच्च यदात्मकम् प्रकृतेः पुरुषस्यापि. So here Devahuti Mata is asking Purushasya, Prakrutehe of his energies, Purushasya of the Supreme Personality, Supreme Person, Api also Lakshanam, the characteristics. Purushottama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bruhi, kindly explain Karanayorasya, Karanayoho, the causes, Asya of this creation, Sad Asad, the manifest and unmanifest. Manifest and unmanifest. Sad Asatcha, Yadatmakam. Yadatmakam is consisting of which. Okay, so translation. So Devhuti said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly explain the characteristics of the Supreme Person and his energies. For both of these are the causes of this manifest and unmanifest creation. Okay, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, can I request, there are 4 paragraphs in this. Can I request 4 volunteers to read each paragraph, please?
Can I read, Prabhuji, please?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prakriti or material nature is connected with both the Supreme Lord and the living entities, just as a woman is connected with her husband as a wife and with her children as a mother. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He impregnates Mother Nature with children, living entities, and thereafter all species of living entities become manifest. The relationship of all living entities with material nature has been explained. Now, an understanding of the relationship between material nature and the Supreme Lord is sought by Devahuti. The product of that relationship is stated to be the manifest and unmanifest material world. The unmanifest material world is the subtle Mahat Tattva, and from that Mahat Tattva, the material manifestation has emerged. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, can request other devotee take second paragraph.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. In the Vedic literature, it is said that by the glance of the Supreme Lord, the total material energy is impregnated, and then everything is born of material nature. It is also confirmed in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that under the glance Adakshana, under the direction by the will, nature is working. It is not that nature. Can you scroll this up, please? I can't. Okay, under his direction and by his will, nature is working. It is not nature works blindly. After understanding the position of the conditional soul in the relation to material nature, Dehuti wanted to know how nature works under the direction of the Lord and what the relationship is between the material nature and the Lord. In other words, she wanted to learn the characteristic of the Supreme Lord in relation to the material nature. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very beautifully read. Okay, can request other devotee, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I read, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The relationship of the living entities with matter and that of the Supreme Lord with matter are certainly not on the same level, although the Mayavadis may interpret it in that way. When it is said that the living entities are bewildered, the Mayavadi philosophers ascribe this bewilderment to the Supreme Lord. But that is not applicable. The Lord is never bewildered. That is the difference between personalist and impersonalist. Devahuti is not unintelligent. She has enough intelligence to understand that the living entities are not on the level of the Supreme Lord. Because the supreme entities are infinitesimal, they become bewildered or are conditioned by material nature. But this does not mean that the Supreme Lord is also conditioned or bewildered. The difference between the conditioned soul and the Lord is that the Lord is the Lord and the master of material nature, and he is therefore not subject to control. He is controlled neither by spiritual nature nor by material nature. He is supreme controller himself, and he cannot be compared to the ordinary living entities who are controlled by the laws of material nature. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely read. Okay, can request other devotee take it at the last paragraph, please?
May I, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. Two words used in this verse are Sat and Asat. The cosmic manifestation is Asat. It does not exist. But the material energy of the Supreme Lord is Sat, or ever existing. Material nature is ever existing in its subtle form as the energy of the Lord, but it sometimes manifests this non-existent or temporarily existent nature, the cosmos. An analogy may be made with the father and mother. The father and the mother exist, but sometimes the mother begets children. Similarly, this cosmic manifestation, which comes from the unmanifest, material nature of the Supreme Lord, sometimes appears and again disappears, but the material nature is ever existing. And the Lord is the supreme cause for both the subtle and gross manifestations of this material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, very beautifully read. So it is a little bit of technical details about the universe. So here Devhuti Mata is asking, describe about the characteristics of the living entity and also the Supreme Personality of Godhead and material nature. So here, Prakriti or material nature is connected with both the Supreme Lord and the living entities. So Lord has got the Vishnu Sikti Paraprokta Kshetrajna Kyatata Avidya Karma Sanyaya Trutiya Shaktirishyate. So one is the superior energy, that is spiritual world. Inferior energy is the material world, Prakriti. In between, these living entities are there. But all these are all different kinds of energies of the Lord. But Prakriti is a mother. Mother is Prabhupada is describing just as a woman is connected with her husband as a wife and with her children as a mother. In the similar way, so Prakriti is connecting to the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tasham Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamahah So that one statement he mentions, and also in the 14th chapter, he gives very beautiful explanations about the Tasham Brahma Mahad Jonir Aham Bija Pitah Prada. So I am the father. Likewise, in the 14th chapter, 3 modes of material nature, here Krishna gives Mahad Jonir Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham. Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham. And here, Sambhavaha Sarvabhutanam, all the living entities, includes not only the human beings, it is all living entities, 8.4 different million species of lives. Tato Bhavati Bharata. And then he gives the total material substance called Brahman is source of birth, and it is Brahman that I pregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. And then further Krishna says here, Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtayah sambhavantiyaha tasham brahma mahadjonir aham bija pradah pita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. I am the aham bija pradah pita. I am the seed-giving father. So here Prabhupada is describing here. So that Krishna impregnates mother nature with children, living entities, and therefore thereafter all species of living entities become manifest. And here the relationship of all living entities with material nature has been explained. Now, an understanding of the relationship between material nature and the Supreme Lord is sought by Devhuti. This is Lakshanam Prakutehe Purushasyapi Lakshanam Purushottama. And we are anything which is any living entity wanted to enjoy, that is called a symptom of a Purusha, enjoyer. But whereas Krishna is the Purushottama, he is the best of all. So there is the entire chapter of Purushottama Yoga, 15th chapter. And then here further, the product of the relationship is stated to be the manifest and unmanifest material world. This is manifested and unmanifest. Material is actually it's a matter. And whenever living entities come into here, that will become, it is a they will take different forms and species. Previously it is called Pradhanam, later on Prakriti, unmanifested state, Pradhana. So that one we will see that one later on. And the unmanifest material world is subtle Mahatattva. It is subtle Mahatattva. It is called Pradhana. And from Mahatattva, the material manifestation has emerged. That is Prakriti. Okay. This one will be described in the next shloka. And further moving on to the next paragraph. In the Vedic literature, it is said that by the glance of the Supreme Lord, the total material energy is impregnated. Okay, it is all said in the Vedic literatures. And later on in this chapter itself, Dhaivad Kshupita Dharminyam Swasyam Yonah Parpuman. Dhaivad Kshupita Dharminyam. By the agitation, the Lord impregnates by the glance Dhaivad Kshupita Dharminyam. And then he impregnates this material nature. And then everything is born of material nature. How does that come? It will the from mode of goodness, the mind get generated, demigods manifested, and from mode of passion, the intelligence, and further the senses, and how to use the senses, that knowledge get manifested. And from the mode of ignorance, the sound get manifested. From the sound, the sky, and then the ears, all the senses. Gradually, one after another, we can see in this material 24 elements. Panchabihi Brahma, Chaturbihi Dasabihi Tada. Those gradually, as a sequentially starting from the sound. This universe is manifested from the sound. Okay, that is starting point. That sound comes from the mode of ignorance. So, and then here everything is born of the material nature. It is also confirmed in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that under his glance, this is Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Suite Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. Everything under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And by his will, he is Swarat, independent. So he, as soon as he feels, everything will be manifest. He wills, and then he, everything, material nature manifest according to the desire of the Lord. So nature is working, Prakriti. It is not that nature works blindly. So everywhere there is again controller behind it. And after understanding the position of the conditioned souls in relation to the material nature, Devhuti wanted to know how nature works under the direction of the Lord, and what the relationship is between material nature and the Lord. In other words, she wanted to learn the characteristics of the Supreme Lord in relation to the material nature. Okay, that is inquiry by Devhuti Mata. And then here in the third paragraph, Prabhupada is describing relationship of the living entities with matter and that of Supreme Lord with matter are certainly not on the same level. So just like a father and children, they are in a different levels in relationship with the material nature. One is the controller, and then another one is being controlled, predominated. Another one is the predominator. Okay, likewise. And although Mayavadis may interpret it in that way, so even the Lord sometimes we may see in the past, in the previous life, Krishna was Rama, and then he has killed Vali from behind, and now there is a hunter. He came, and then he was used as an instrument for Krishna's departure from this material world. But actually, Lord is he is a Swarat, and he manifests those things. But it is some people they put that it is that reason. But actually, there is a subtle reason, that is Lord's will, and he can create, like there is a very beautiful pastime, Shri Krishna's Mausala Leela, in the 11th canto, last chapter, how Krishna departed there. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes about a magician, how he manifests everything. He performs magic in front of a king. He make the gold coins disappear. He make the all his entourage disappear, horses disappear, everything, all his relatives, children, family, they're fighting among themselves, and then they died in front of king itself. So magician is performing that illusory thing. And then later on, he also mentioning to the king, "Oh king, you are pious, so it is better to leave the body in front of a pious king. So because I have made such kind of thing, it is better I leave." And then magician enters into the fire, putting a fire in front of the king. And then later on, his wives all enter into the same fire. And then everything is vanished. And then now king is in the dilemma and illusion. So this is everything is magic. After few days, the magician, he has sent his daughter along with all the his king's relatives, king's wealth, and his horses, everything, and mentioning that that girl comes to the king and says that, "O king, so we have performed a magic in front of you. So now you have got all of your all of your possessions here. Now, what are the remuneration you can give it to us? You can give." So in such a way, the magician performs. When an ordinary magician is able to do all those things, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, why can't he do all those things? So it is bewildering to many people. So avjananti mam huda manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhota maheshwaram. It is the fools, they deride Krishna's appearance as an ordinary human. So, and then that is not Krishna, he will never ever come into clutches of material nature. Instead, he controls the material world. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi. Okay. So there, the Lord is never bewildered. So that is the difference between personalist and impersonalist. Again, there was in some places in Bhagavatam, he mentions about impersonalist, about their position, that because of their conceptions and deride Krishna's supremacy. So they will fall down, even though they have performed so many of austerities and penances, they fall down from their position. So ye anya arvindaksha vimukta maninaha tvayashta bhavad avishuddha buddhayaha. Avishuddha buddhayaha. Their intelligence is not purified yet. They always describe Lord will come and he will be entangled by material. So that is avishuddha buddhayaha. Aruhya kruchena param padam tataha patanchadaha anadruta yushmad angrayaha. Anadruta, again making a mistakes at the lotus feet of the Lord. So they will fall down, even though they are performing austerities and penances, but they do not retain that position. Patanti adaha, they fall down. So that this is what we see in for example, in India especially, many people they say and compare Krishna with all other demigods, and then Krishna is also one of it. Likewise, what to speak of many of so-called scholars, even they are also being bewildered. So here, Devhuti is not unintelligent. She has got that knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She also mentions that Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Dhudam Yatvam Vimuktidam Prapya Namamukshe Bandhanat. Even I was cheated by the illusory energy of the Lord. So she spoke to Kadama Prajapati when he was leaving. So likewise, that is her relation. So Nehiyat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate na tidda padasevaya jivannapi mruto hi saha. She uses such a great words. If a person is not taking to the devotional service, na tidda padasevaya, tidda pada sevaya jivannapi mruto hi saha. Even though he is living, he is like a dead body. And later on she mentions saham bhagavato nunam maya vanchita dhrudam. So Lord's external energy is so dhrudam. It is Daivi Hiesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratya. My external energy is very difficult to surpass. So now Devhuti was mentioning such a great word that means she is a daughter of Swayambhu Manu, who is the again devotee of the Lord. He is one of the Mahajan. Again, she is the wife of Kadama Prajapati, who is a devotee and who has pleased even the Lord. And even the Lord also glorified about Devhuti as well. Samana Selam Gruhamedadhenum. When he was asking, Lord says that, oh Kadama, Devhuti is coming, she is the right match for you. So that means she is not unintelligent. Even though she admits herself that I am Yosha Bhaud Anugrahat. Sukum Buddhe Durbodam. Yosha Bhaud Anugrahat. So I am like a Yata Tataham Mandadhihi. So I'm not intelligent. She admits herself, but that is her humbleness. But she is not unintelligent. She has enough intelligence to understand that the living entities are not on the level of the Supreme Lord. So we are all part and parcel. Mamaivamsha Jivaloke, Jivabhuta Hasanata. The full, gold mountain and a little particle of gold mountain. There is a lot of difference. A drop of salt water and ocean of salt water. There is a difference. Though the substance is same substance, one is a drop and another one is the very huge. So it is living entities are infinitesimal, whereas the Lord is infinite. Infinite and infinitesimal. So they become bewildered. As long as the fire spark, it is within the fire, then it will glow. If it is separated from the fire, automatically it will turn into the ashes. And when the fire is covered by the ashes, it would not have much influence on the objects. Whenever this fire come in exposed, and then we have put some kind of wood, such kind of things, and blow with some fire, blow with a wind, then it will burn. Otherwise, if there is ashes covered on the fire, then there is no effect on the wood. So, but living entities are like that. It is covered by the ashes. So, because they become bewildered or conditioned by material nature. But this does not mean that Supreme Lord is also conditioned or bewildered. If this is the case, then what happens? What is the value of Bhagavad Gita? So everyone accepts Bhagavad Gita because everyone accepts Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, there is no meaning. If he is also controlled, then he is also one of us. But here it is confirmed by all the Shastras, all the Acharyas, all the great personalities. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, there is one very beautiful shloka comes from, I think, 9th chapter or some. There Prabhupada describes, Evam yo veti tatpataha Krishnasya paramatmanaha. Let me just bring that shloka. I think it is Bhagavad Gita. I think 9th chapter. एवं यो वेत्ति भौतिकं कृष्णस्य परमात्मनः सा सर्वस्मात् बहिष्कार्यः स्रौतस्माद्विदानतः. If a person is thinking that Krishna is like a ordinary personality, then he must be rejected from all kinds of srautasmadha. I think I don't get that shloka, the reference, but it is in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Okay, so such kind of people, if anyone is saying that Krishna body is like a material body, such kind of person must be rejected from all the srautas madhya vidhanataha. If one comes, such a elam snanam acharet, if one come across with such kind of person in opposite, if we see his face, we need to go and take bath with our clothes. Okay, so that is the, again, Shastra's statements. So that means we can understand Krishna's position. Okay, the difference between conditioned soul and the Lord is that the Lord is the Lord, master of the material nature. And then he is therefore not subject to its control. And he is controlled neither by spiritual nature nor by material nature. He is supreme controller himself. When the devotees of the Lord, they themselves are not controlled by material nature. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? So, in material nature means they come under the three material modes of nature. For example, so many of past times, one of it is Haridas Thakur was put up in a trap by a prostitute, but he was not get agitated. Okay, so that is the devotee's position. Devotees, and what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Yasyendriyam vimutum kuhakaihi na sekuhu. Even his beautiful wives, Uddhama Bhava Pisunamala Valguhasa, Vridavaloka Nihato Madnopayasam, Sammuhya Chapam Adhyat Pramudottamasta, Yasyendriyam Vimutitam Kuhakaihi Nasekuhu. They could not agitate Krishna, even though they are very beautiful. Pramudottamasta. Krishna's wives are very beautiful, but even though they are Uddhama Bhava with different kinds of expressions and loving gestures, they wanted to impress Krishna and put Krishna into their control. But but still they cannot agitate Krishna's senses. See, he is supreme. He is the supreme controller himself, and he cannot be compared to the ordinary living entities. This is avajhanti mamuda manushim tanumashritam. This is modhaha. People they deride. They cannot know. Param bhavam ajananto mama bhota maheshwaram. Ajananto means they do not understand. Okay, so but living entities are controlled by the laws of material nature. And then further, Prabhupada describes two words used in this verse are Sat and Asat. The Sat, the cosmic manifestation is Asat, and it does not exist. But the material energy of the Supreme Lord is Sat, and or ever existing. Material energy of the Supreme Lord, this is Prakriti. so there are different, this Sat and Asat, it is giving number of contexts, different ways of explanations are given. But in this context, it is like a giving cosmic manifestation is Asat. It does not exist. But the material energy of the Supreme Lord is Sat, or ever existing. And the material nature is ever existing in the subtle form, as so he existing in the subtle form as energy of the Lord, but it sometimes manifests this non-existent or temporarily existent nature, the cosmos. Okay, so and an analogy may be made with the father and mother. The mother and the father exist, but sometimes the mother begets children. And similarly, this cosmic manifestation, which comes from the unmanifest material nature of the Supreme Lord, and sometimes appears and again disappears. But the material nature is ever existing, and the Lord is the supreme cause for both the subtle and gross manifestation of this material world. So here, um, based on what we desire, everything this material nature is manifested in and around us, our family members, our circumstances, living premises, the people who are in come in contact with us. It nature arranges everything. Nothing is accidental. Everything is based on our previous the purity and how we engaged our devotional service, that one, and karmic things, everything based on that material nature arranges. This is prakrutehe karmani, guneihi karmani sarvashaha. And then a living entity will come and then sit in that position and then experiences. But he thinks that he is doer. So ahankar vimoodatma kartaham iti manyate. But material nature is doing everything. He is just experiencing. This is bhokturtve sukutkanam purushaha prakrutehe param. He is the only reason for all his problems. Anything is happening in his life, he is the only the reason. There is purushaha prakrutehe param. Bhokturtve sukudukkanam purushaha prakrutehe param. Okay, that is the reason, because of his desire. Otherwise, this is again the kadam naitad bhatadisha padam tabipsitam yanmaya naha tunise bhota sukshmam. It is not the will of the Lord, it is the living entity. That's why when Prabhupada is describing about the living, we have to be performing austerities and penances, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, follow rules and regulations, associate with the pure devotees, and maintain the celibacy. And that one, it is very, very important. Whenever he comes, Vodhvareta Saha. It is the Vodhvar. This is 4 Kumaras. They are Vodhvareta. Vodhvareta Saha. The semen goes upwards. They do not come in contact with any woman like that. They maintain Naistika Brahmacharya. Then they will be spiritually effulgent. And they are not entangled by any of material nature. Okay, so that one here in this purport is describing. And again, out of there are 4 topics: Prakriti, Kala, Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Karma and living entity. Living entity, Supreme Lord, Kala, Prakriti, Karma. Karma is a temporary, or remaining for all eternal. So this is about this one. It is a bit technical and also more subtle. This particular question, Prabhupada is explaining here quite nicely. So in the next question onwards, Kapil Bhagwan describes what to answer the question of Devhuti Mata. So here in this particular Sri Bhagavan Uvacham Yat Tat Trigunam Avyaktam Nityam Sad Asad Atmakam Pradhanam Prakritim Prahuhu Avishesham Visheshavat. Avishesham Visheshavat. This is the first very beautiful answer to the Devhuti's mother. So, Yattat Trigunam Avyaktam. So, Bhagavan Uvach, Kapil Bhagavan is speaking here. Yattat. So, now further, that Trigunam, the combination of the three modes. Yattat Trigunam Avyaktam. This is unmanifested. Nityam Sad Asadatmakam. And it is eternal Sad Asadatmakam, consisting of cause and effect. So here, Sad and Asad, it is given as the reason, translations. One is the cause and effect. When we desire something, in order to fulfill that, something must be affected. Something, arrangements should be there. Main reason is the cause, Sarvakarana Karan. Krishna is supreme cause, but a living entity is the cause for all his pains and pleasures. So when we divert all those pains and pleasures, that activities, whatever the activity we are carrying out to the supreme devotional service, it will turn as a medicine. Again, Narada Muni, he speaks, Amayo Yashabhotanam, Jayate Yena Suvrata, Amayo Yashabhotanam, the disease of the living entities. Amayo Yashabhotanam, Jayate Yena Suvrata, they take birth and then come into this material world. O Surata, O Vyasa, Narada Muni says. Tadevihi Amayam Dravyam, Punati Nachikichitam. When you engage that activity, which actually living entity wanted to perform, that fruitive activity, if it is engaged into the Supreme Personality of God as a devotional service, that it will turn into a medicine. Likewise, he explains. So based on that, the desire of living entity also fulfills, and he also engaged in the devotional service. He will come out from the material entanglement. Okay, this is cause is the living entity's desire, effect is whatever is we see manifested in front of us. Okay, this one, how it is going to affect? Nityam Sad Atmakam. Atmakam is the consisting of cause and effect. And Pradhanam Prakritim Prahuhu. Avishesham Visheshavad. This is Pradhanam is Avishesham and Prakriti is the Vishesham. Avishesham means Pradhana is the Pradhana, is Avishesham is undifferentiated. And then Prakritim is the Prakriti and Visheshavat possessing differentiation. This is variegatedness in the material nature. Pradhanam Prakritim Prahuhu Avishesham Visheshavat. So Yatta Trigunam Abhyaktam Nityam Sad Asadatmakam Pradhanam Prakritim Prahuhu Avishesham Visheshavat. The translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the unmanifested eternal combination of the three modes is the cause of the manifest state and is called Pradhana. It is called Prakriti when in the manifested stage of existence. Okay, the purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, can I request anyone to read next paragraph? This purport, only one paragraph.
Hare Krishna, may I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Yes. The Lord points out material nature in its subtle stage, which is called pradhan, and he analyzes this pradhan. The explanation of pradhan and prakriti is that pradhan is the subtle, undifferentiated sum total of all material elements. Although they are undifferentiated, one can understand that the total material elements are contained therein. When the total material elements are manifested by the interaction of the three modes of material nature, the manifestation is called Prakriti. Impersonalists say that Brahman is without variegatedness and without differentiation. One may say that Pradhan is the Brahman stage, but actually the Brahman stage is not Pradhan. Pradhana is distinct from Brahman because in Brahman there is no existence of the material modes of nature. One may argue that the Mahat Tattva is also different from Pradhan because in the Mahat Tattva there are manifestations. The actual explanation of Pradhan, however, is given here. When the cause and effect are not clearly manifested, avyakta, the reaction of the total elements does not take place. And that stage of material nature is called pradhan. Pradhan is not the time element, because in the time element there are actions, reactions, creation, and annihilation. Nor is it the jiva or marginal potency of living entities or designated conditioned living entities, because the designations of the living entities are not eternal. One adjective used in this connection is nitya, which indicates eternality. Therefore, the condition of material nature immediately previous to its manifestation is called pradhana. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. So again, it is a kind of a technical paragraph. So we can have a little analogy. For example, if we have got some ingredients like in order to prepare sabji, we get all vegetables and put everything together, all raw ingredients in the kitchen and the counter. If we keep all those things, so until we go, of course, if we assume, of course, we have brought them and we are doing it again in the next stage before we cook, so all things are readily available. And now if we are not present there, nothing would take place. That is called pradhana, before cooking. And then we come there and then we interact with each and every vegetable, take a pan, put some oil, some mustard seeds, and then do some masala and then put the vegetables. Here, everywhere there is interaction taking place by the energy of a person here, and then interaction between the elements. And then that is how it happens. That is Prakriti. The cooked food is called Prakriti, which is consumable. Before that, it is unconsumable vegetables. Okay, taking that example, if we go through this purport, Lord points out material nature is in its subtle stage, which is called pradhana. That is pradhana. And he analyzes this pradhana. And the explanation of pradhana and prakriti is that pradhana is the subtle and undifferentiated, the sum total of all material elements. All material elements are there now. That is called the pradhanas. And then, although they are undifferentiated, one can understand that the total material elements are contained therein. So here, all the Panchabhutas, the senses, and the sense objectives, and Jnanendriyas and Karanendriyas, and also the subtle elements as well, mind, intelligence, ego, those stuff as well. All these elements are within the Pradhana, are now within the pradhana. And when Lord inject with the three material modes of nature into the pradhana, what happens? Then prakriti gradually, ahankara will be manifested from these three material modes of nature. Will influence from where ahankara comes. From the ahankara, these three material modes of nature exhibits goodness, passion, and ignorance. From the mode of goodness, this first of all mind and the corresponding demigods, they will be manifested. The mode of passion, these are all as a kind of a ahankara. This is mahatattva. So that is going to be manifested gradually. Mode of ignorance, the sound manifested. The gradual, because the pradhana is source of all undifferentiated sum total of material elements. But whenever three material modes of nature are agitated by the Lord, these elements one after another gradually get manifested. Okay, so that is here. And although they are undifferentiated, one can understand that the total material elements are contained therein. Okay, they're already within there. But for example, if we take one seed, within the seed, there is already a tree. How do we understand already there is a tree? When we put it in the soil and then water it, it grows and then tree will manifest. Before that, it is simply a seed. Okay, the seed is kind of a pradhana, but whenever the interactions of three material modes of nature takes place, the plant will come out and then give so many fruits and flowers, twigs, branches, leaves, like that. Okay, and when total material elements are manifested by the interaction of the three modes of material nature, the manifestation is called Prakriti. Now, whenever Prakriti is manifested, it is so beautiful. Before that, it is in the seed level. Now we see the tree, fruits, flowers, leaves, and everything. It's so beautiful. It gives so many things. And impersonalists say that Brahman is without variegatedness and without differentiation. And one may say that Pradhana is the Brahman stage. Okay, so this is impersonalist conception is only the Brahman effulgence. That is only their knowledge, it stops. They think that, but they do not go beyond. In the Brahma Jyoti, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets and the Lord and his entourage, all his devotees. Those things, variegatedness is there. But impersonalists, they think it is the without variegatedness. In Bhagavatam, it says, यत्र चाध्यापमानस्ते भगवान् शब्दगोचरः सत्त्वं विष्टभ्यविर्जं स्वानाम्नो मृडयन् ऋषः यत्र नैश्रेषं नाम वनं कामदुगैः द्रुमैः. And then it is also mentioned Kaivalyam iha murtimat. The living entities, they are performed in murtimat. Everyone is maintaining their individuality. That variegatedness is there. Again, we can go into the deep into the Vaikunthas, that 15th chapter. We have already passed that chapter. So again, Prabhupada is mentioning impersonalists to think that without Brahman is without variegatedness and without differentiation. But Krishna again, he mentions that I am the basis for the Brahmano hi pratistaham amritasya aviyasya. Okay, so move on, and one may say that Pradhana is the Brahman stage, but actually the Brahman stage is not Pradhana. Brahman stage is the pure spirit completely. It is a Kotastam, complete the effulgence, and where all the living entities go. And then there is a Virja river. Virja river is the, kind of, it comes in between the material world and the spiritual world, Brahma Jyoti. Okay, so Pradhana is distinct from Brahman because Brahman is, there is no existence of the material modes of nature. That is, Brahmano hi pratistaham amrutasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya dharmasya sukhasya aikantikasya cha. It is sukhasya aikantikasya cha shashvatasya dharmasya. Okay, these are different features of the Brahman Jyoti. So that is, no, there is no existence of the material modes of nature. And one may argue that Mahatattva is also different from Pradhana. Is also different Pradhana because in the Mahatattva there are manifestations. Because when in the Pradhana, the three material modes of nature come and agitate, it will turn into the Mahatattva further. That is Mahatattva, there are manifestations. Some interactions are going to take place. And then the actual explanation of the Pradhana, however, is given here when the cause and effect are not clearly manifested, avyakta. The reaction of the total elements does not take place. And that stage of the material nature is called Pradhana. So when there are no interaction, that is Pradhana. Pradhana is not time element because in the time element there are actions and reactions, creation and annihilation. Okay, again explaining Pradhana in a number of ways. Nor is it the jiva or marginal potency of the living entity or designated conditioned living entities because the designations of the living entities are not eternal. So in this material world, the Pradhana or the Prakriti, so this is called a karma, the fruitive activities. So every living entity come and then occupy one particular name by accepting one particular name and form and carry out some particular functions. That is not permanent. That is not eternal. That is material. And one adjective used in this connection is nitya. Nityam sadatmakam. So that nitya is which indicates the eternality. Therefore, the condition of material nature immediately previous to its manifestation is called pradhana. Okay, so this is about pradhana and prakriti, describing in a technical terms. Of course, it is a lot of explanation about the prakriti and the pradhana. Avishesham visheshavat. We have got the same ingredients. We can cook so many sabjis in different varieties. But before we cook, it is called pradhana. Though we can, from the same soil, if we put whatever the seed we put, the similar kind of plant will come, either vegetable or a fruit plant or anything, or weed. Everything comes from the same soil. Okay, based on the seed. Similarly, pradhana, whenever it is agitated by three material modes of nature, it will slowly turn into the mahatattva. These three material modes of nature come into different exhibitions, the creations, and demigods and mind and the different senses manifested, and then tanmatras get manifested. Later on, panchabhutas get manifested, and their corresponding demigods occupy their position, and the corresponding knowledge also will be manifested. Okay, that is all step by step. We will see that in the later chapters. Okay, I stop there. It is too much of technicality and theory explanations without glorifying the Lord. Of course, His glories of the Lord in a different way, in a material pradhana and prakriti. Okay, I stop here. I request the devotees, if you have got any questions or any comments or any reflections, anything is taking your mind, kindly ask or kindly share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti-Vyas Mataji.
Thank you for that wonderful class. Excellent as always. Prabhuji, with reference to that last sentence of text 10, therefore the condition of material nature immediately previous to its manifestation is called pradhana.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I'm a bit confused about it. Is this the state where the universe is in dissolution, or just is there a correlation? I'm slightly confused about it.
Okay, so it is not the dissolution. It is before the material nature exists itself, even before Brahma exists. It is like if you take the lump of matter, if everything is measured, everything as a lump, you will see as a dough. Before we make the chapati, it's a dough. Likewise, all the material nature is common as one matter, that is pradhana. In such a way, we can assume. And then when the three material modes of nature come into this dough, slowly that interactions will take place, and then some shape will come, and then that is part of the ahankara. Chittam tad mahadatmakam. That is when yadahuhu vasudevakyam chittam tad mahadatmakam. When the consciousness enter into this mahatattva, that is where ahankara exhibited in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So before mahatattva, that stage is called pradhana. From Mahatattva onwards, it is called Prakriti. Before Prakriti, that is called Pradhana. The lump of dough is called Pradhana.
Okay, Prabhuji, I get it. Thank you. That was like it comes in stages. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Okay, any other questions, dear devotees? Jai Mataji, please.
Sorry, Prabhuji, from what you just said, so the false ego, will that also be in three different material natures? So ignorance, goodness, and passion.
Yes.
Is that how it will be? Would you be able to give an example of that false ego in 3 different stages, please?
So here, whenever 3 material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they hit again by the Lord injects this. Here, example, how can we give examples? Just like whenever father wanted to beget children, like boy and girl, and also any gender may come. Likewise, goodness, passion, ignorance, they also manifest. And then those are the children of your mother. Mother is in the manifest in the vikara stage. Etat chetum samasena savikaram udakrutam. So there is interactions in the womb of the mother. So that stage, we can understand is a prakriti or ahankara is exhibited from where Krishna he gives that statement. Say Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dasikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha ichcha dvesha sukam dukkam sanyatas chetanadutihi etat kshetram samasena savikaram udahrutam. Okay, so this one, let us see. There are any of those statements are mentioned, but we have come to this statement. There are 3 places, 3 or 4 places we have come across this Mahatattva, 3 material modes of nature like that. Okay, so within this chapter, here it is Mahabhutani Pancheva Bhurapurnagri Marunabha Tanmatrani Tavanti. Indriyas are get manifested, and then later on Mano buddhir ahankara chittamiti antaratmakam. So here, the time factor. So here it is mentioned Prabhavam Purusham Prahu Kalam Yeketo Bhim Ahankara Vimudasya Kartum Prakriti Miyushaha. This is again about the Ahankara. Prakritehe Gunasamesya Nirvisheshasya Manavi Chestaitaha Sa Bhagavan Kala iti Upalakshitaha. I think it will be coming in the further shlokas, Mataji.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Daivat Kshipit Dharminyam Swasyam Yona Parah Puman Adatta Viryam Saswata Mahatattvam Hiranmayam. This is the Mahatattva and then Hiranmayam. So here it is given very beautiful explanations. After the Supreme Personality of Godhead impregnates the material nature with his internal potency, material nature delivers the sum total of cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This is cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in the material nature when she is agitated by the destinations of the conditioned souls. So this is Mahatattvam Hiranmayam. And then further he gives Vishwamatma Gunam Bhinjan Kotasto Jagadankurah Swatejasa Apipattivram Atma Praswapanam Tamaha. Again, it will take out all the ignorance kind of thing. Okay, so this and the next sloka is Yattat Sattugunam Swacham. So Swacham, it is goodness. It describes later on. Santam Bhagavatha Padam Yadahuhu Vasudevakyam Chittam Tad Mahadatmakam. This is called consciousness. Consciousness become manifest within the Mahatattva. So here this is called Sattvagunam, mode of goodness. So from it 21 shloka onwards, we can see these 3 modes of material nature and their symptoms. Vasudeva Sthiti and then later an Ahankara. So like we have seen, there is one of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. In the spiritual, the quadruple, and the material world is the Mahatattva accommodates the consciousness, and Lord Shiva is the deity for false ego, Brahma is the deity for intelligence, and Moon God is the deity for the mind. Okay, so those will be elaborated. As a combinedly, if we understand, then everything come into place in a proper big picture. There were again some of the pictures are there. I will share later on, Mataji, if it is okay.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. It's fine. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions? So, but this chapter is bit of most technical and kind of theoretical as well. And also, if we have pictures, then we can understand very nicely. Maybe later on the next session, I will show some pictures. Okay, so for now, we shall stop here. If you're all happy, we can conclude our session for tonight. Unless you got any questions. Okay, thank you so much, dear devotees.
Shall we say 3 Hari Bols to Prabhuji, please? Hari Bol.
Hari
Bol.
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice class.
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
everyone. Wonderful class. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. So all glories to all the devotees. It is all by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Guru and Krishna. Okay, so we shall conclude for now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः
Koti Vaishnav.
की जय प्रभुपाद की जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की
Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Amogha Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.